The Mega Drive is certainly known for setting the bar with its collection of shmups. Right from the start, they were an important piece of its library, and for good reason. They're fast, aggressive, and challenging experiences, the perfect type of game to match the famous attitude displayed by Sega's marketing materials, particularly those in the US. But for all the original hits and highly regarded arcade conversions released, there are some which slip through the cracks as always. Like Fire Shark, the follow-up to Flying Shark. This is Beyond the Scanlines, a series focusing on interesting games on classic computing and gaming platforms. Fire Shark comes to us courtesy of Toaplan, originally hitting arcades in 1989, with this conversion to the Mega Drive released in late 1990 for Japan and the US, with the PAL release happening a bit later in late 1991. An unknown force has slowly been growing on an island in the South Pacific. The forces of the more peaceful governments of the planet over time slowly relaxed their guard, thinking that there was no incoming threat, and so they were not concerned. Until one fateful day, when these forces attacked, slowly taking over the world, and as things looked lost for the planet, fate would have that a mysterious fighter, the Fire Shark, would swoop in and save the day. A fighter out of time, sworn to save the Earth when under threat, and it's who you'll take charge of as you work to dismantle the enemy's arsenal. Within each of the game's 10 levels, your objective is straightforward. Blast as many enemies as possible, avoid being shot down, then defeat a large piece of enemy hardware in order to complete the stage. Like many of Toaplan's games from this period, there's the usual trio of weapons available. You'll start off armed with the wide shot, which, as the name suggests, provides a wide spread of shots useful for taking out a number of enemies with each burst you shoot. Though it offers the coverage, the individual shots are weak, so you'll have to be quick on the fire button to let off as many shots as possible. The second weapon is the Shark Beam. This one only fires ahead of you, but it does so in a more focused way. On top of that, as you upgrade it, you'll find the area it can cover grows ever so slightly, helping you keep that area in front of the Fire Shark clear, which becomes especially handy as things get more frantic. The final weapon on offer is the Super Fire. This starts out as a burst of fire focused ahead of you. As you upgrade it though, you'll find it becomes a highly effective screen clearing weapon, because alongside those forward firing beams, you'll get additional side sweeping ones. Alongside these weapons, you've got a limited supply of bombs you can drop. These cause a blast over a small area of the screen, causing heavy damage to both enemies and bullets caught within. The challenge though is not over-relying upon them, as with any shooter with secondary weapons. But there's also an additional reason to reserve them, which we'll get to later on. Changing and upgrading your weapons is done by collecting pickup items released by blasting the blimps you'll encounter. Collecting a series of 3 P tokens will upgrade your weapon to its next level, with the S tokens released increasing your plane's movement speed up to 3 times. You'll also find B tokens which add a bomb to your inventory, and on a rare occasion, you'll also see pickups to add 1 or 2 extra lives as well. Extra lives aren't just earned from those, but can also be obtained by earning enough points, and this helps you keep in the game for sure, especially because you'll find it pretty easy to rack up some impressive scores over time. As for the weapons themselves, there are 3 coloured items dropped, which allow you to switch between them at any time. The cyan ones will swap to the wide shot. The green ones activate the Shark Beam. Finally, the red ones engage the Super Fire. Which brings me to one of the concerns I have with Fire Shark. To me, a great shmup is about learning how to utilise the weapons at your disposal, but also how each level is structured, as in when enemies spawn, and what the best way is to manage them. Along with that, it's also about when best to save your limited use weapons so you can use them when they'll be most effective. The weapons you're armed with usually have trade-offs to balance between choosing them, whether it's about focusing on firepower for a smaller area of attack, or perhaps going for a spread shot which may be weaker for individual shots. And you see this in play with the wide shot and the shark beam. You can have those wider shots of the wide shot, but they'll do individually less damage per shot. Though the shark beam may only fire in front of you, it can do more damage per hit. None of this applies with the super fire, however, especially once you power it up. Now, at its lowest levels, it's great for taking out targets ahead of you, offering some extra room to move about thanks to those shots. Upgrading it further though, now these extra sweeping beams it adds makes it possible to just sit in a single position and let all the shots take care of things as threats come and approach you. If anything, I feel a weapon like this would be great as a limited use power-up, saving it for that one particular moment when you're in great peril and you need a bit of assistance to get through it. I guess at the end of the day, it's something which lets you pick your challenge. Go for the super fire if you really need something to equalise the challenge a bit, or if you want to make it that bit harder, stick with just the wide shot and really be challenged by the game. Now this is an interesting design choice, and though the arcade original version of the game is notoriously known for its difficulty, it's one thing which has been tuned better for this version on the Mega Drive, and that honestly makes it far more approachable for players, particularly when starting out. Especially as when many arcade titles do get converted for home systems, most of the time it's by teams who never worked on that original game, and so the results are usually very inconsistent on that front. They're either as challenging as the arcade machine, or they're not really tuned as well. It's certainly something I've seen over the years, with many a port made to microcomputers in particular. But enough talk of weapons. How does the rest of Fireshark play out? Though older shooters like this don't really push the scoring mechanics, in particular like the ways more modern bullet hell games do, there are a few tricks here for maximising your score. To start with, if you collect a pickup for the weapon you've already got selected, you get a dose of points on top of that. Now, considering there are sections where you're going to find multiple pickups of a similar type in a row, it's a conscious choice to make if you're going to take the weapon change, but then earn a bunch of bonus points in return, or play dodge the pickup for an extended amount of time in order to preserve your current weapon. The big bonuses though come at the end of each stage. During the stages you'll find lightning bolt pickups. Individually you'll earn points for collecting these, but getting to the end of a stage, you'll now receive a bonus based on each one you've collected multiplied by the number of bombs in your inventory. And that's what I meant when I said about preserving your bombs, because you could use them, but if you don't, you'll get some serious points as a result. I guess it means that, like in other shmups, you'll really want to save them for the right opportunities so you don't waste them, and keep as many as possible for the end of the stage. As for the stages, the 10 of them are a good mix in terms of challenge. They're certainly learnable, so you'll have a good chance of being able to master them with a bit of play. A nice benefit is that you do get a good assortment of continues, particularly at the easier difficulty mode, to make learning them that bit easier, and you've got plenty of options to be able to tweak the difficulty up, so you've got a chance to practice a good old 1 credit clear. The options allow you to set the starting number of lives, plus also enable rapid fire, which honestly is really handy for players who are just using the Mega Drive's gamepad. Arcade sticks may be preferred for a good shooter, but not everyone's got the desk space for one of them, so the gamepad is important to support well. These options aren't numerous or wide in variety, but it is enough to really make plenty of challenge available in the long run, because let's face it, what kind of hardcore shmup player doesn't just want to work towards a 1 credit clear, but also that mythical 1 life clear? For the visuals, they really do serve the game well. The most important factor, like with any shooter, is that the bullets are clear and distinct. And that's certainly the case here. Whether it's across all of the levels and the varied terrains they contain, you'll find they contrast nicely, meaning you could easily spot them amongst the enemies and hazards you'll avoid. Another detail I love is that while there can be a lot of enemy activity on screen at times, the game keeps up nicely. There's no slowdown or sprite flicker. It's a trend I've never really liked, particularly on 8-bit console systems, where having the visuals flicker can be quite distracting, especially if you're playing on a modern display screen. The enemy tanks, emplacements, planes, and ships that you'll face are all well designed. They offer a great number of frames of animation, particularly the planes, and it means they all move on screen smoothly, offering plenty of life as well. Like the bullets, they contrast nicely against the backgrounds, ensuring they're not lost amongst the chaos. It's truly important to stress how much this contributes to playability, because if you can't really see what's happening, you can't survive, and if you can't survive, you're not really going to be able to enjoy the game. Like with Toaplan's other conversions for the Mega Drive, Fireshark does rely on horizontally scrolling the screen to show the full level width. Though this is not ideal, I find, it doesn't interfere all that much with the action on screen. In fact, had I not checked the arcade version out of this for research when preparing this video, I don't think I'd have really minded all that much. On a sound front, the soundtrack is certainly rocky. There's a well-placed score, which gets you really in that heroic mood for blasting down waves of enemies. Each weapon offers its own unique firing sounds as well, so you can tell what's being fired and what's happening on a sound front as well. And yes, explosions are satisfactory to hear as well, just like any good shooter. Thankfully, all of these don't really overwhelm you as you're playing. Everything unfolds, there's plenty of chaos, but you have a good idea what's going on from the sound, which combines great with the visuals. Really, this makes for a great soundscape, and it really pulls that frantic nature of things together as a result. Though there is some difference in the Mega Drive's sound capabilities over the original arcade machines, the music still comes off fairly well as a result. It may not have quite the detail of the machine, but it's good enough to keep you engaged in the action. It's been rather interesting to check out the reviews of Fireshark from when it was released. Those coming from Japanese or US publications really ranked it quite well, and that more than aligns with my experiences playing it for this review. I certainly had a lot of fun and challenge working my way through it, and though I've certainly not mastered it at this point, it's one I certainly want to go back to in order to improve my scores and see if I can complete that loop. The genuine surprise though was seeing that many UK publications gave it a considerably lower score. Sure, part of this stems from it appearing a year later, where advancement in other shooters on the Mega Drive coming from developers learning the hardware would mean there were some serious impressive releases coming out. But it truly shows how unfair a situation this is, as though Fireshark may not push the boundary as other shmups in the Mega Drive's library do, it's one which absolutely is more than worth taking the time out to play. It's one where its mechanics don't require you to memorise waves precisely in order to survive the game, or where its structure isn't overly punishing to players who do make a mistake. Being tuned down from the original arcade machine in terms of difficulty, it becomes far more enjoyable for those players who are mere mortals in terms of their shmup prowess. As well, it's one of those releases from Toaplan which is going to be getting a reissue courtesy of Retrobit, and for those who want to hunt it down, this means that it will certainly be a bit easier to acquire in the future for sure. It's well worth keeping an eye out for that, as far as I'm concerned. And so, we're at the end of another episode. If you enjoyed this look, please do leave a thumbs up and consider telling your friends. Word of mouth is incredibly helpful in spreading the word and hopefully getting more eyes on these videos, and it's well and truly appreciated. If the idea of more chilled explorations of interesting games for classic systems is up your alley, then consider subscribing to the channel if you've not already, and wait for the videos to enter your subscription feed. After you hit the bell, of course. A shout out as always goes to the channel supporters over on Patreon, whose support allows me to continue to put out great videos such as this. If you'd like to support the show as a token of appreciation, do check the links below to see how you can contribute. Finally, and most importantly though, thank you for taking another voyage beyond the Scanlines.